Good morning, LinkedIn land. Christian Pavarelli here with another episode. We're here again with another amazing founder and no-coder, AJ Picard. He is the founder and CEO of Kava. He also runs a studio that helps people build products. AJ, thanks so much for joining. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to allow me to come on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Are you kidding me? I mean, you've built a lot of really cool stuff, and I've been following you for a while. Everyone who's watching should be following you too. Let's maybe just start off by talking quickly about like Kava. Can you tell us in a couple of words like what Kava is, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, actually, we just kind of started this pivot about a couple of weeks ago. We recently launched a couple of months ago, probably around March now. But our goal now is to provide a platform that allows people to stay connected to their favorite influencer, but at the same time get exclusive offerings from that influencer as well.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So when you say influencers, are these people who have large audiences? Are they influential in other ways, or a bit of both?
It can be either. It can be, an influencer that has 50 to 100K, or, our sweet spot is around that 100 to 200K influencer. But, I'm kind of sick of seeing all these 50% off, Fashion Nova posts, like all these little stupid, I guess, partnerships that they're creating. And I kind of want to create a way where they can offer something very, very exclusive, as in, maybe a collaboration with a shoe brand or like a clothing brand where there's only a limited supply of these things. And they can really broadcast those exclusive offerings to a small interactive audience that loves their brand.
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, because and it's like, everyone knows that there's a big problem with regard to sort of like YouTube monetization through like, if you're trying to monetize through ads, you're only making like maybe $2 per 1,000 views, and ad blockers also like come against that. So you're also helping them in terms of the monetization of their audiences, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because Instagram is definitely has the population. Just the issue with that is, you could definitely hit a mass amount of people, but when it comes to interacting with maybe like 100, 200 people, you unfortunately have to go DM by DM or comment by comment. So Kava offers almost like a chat room, almost like a thread in a way where they can just communicate with everyone in this chat room just by texting or sending at everyone feature or mention, and pretty much just have a conversation with these people instead of just going in through each individual DM and stuff like that. I mean, we're just trying to make it so they can easily communicate with their most loyal fan base, but offer them something cool as well.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. So now let's go into like, because you are not necessarily a coder, you don't have a coding background, but you definitely got into sort of building products on your own with certain tools and no code. Tell us what like your transition into building was. Did you try to learn how to code first? Like, did you want to start building just because you wanted to build a specific project that you had, or was it like, I want to continually build stuff? Like, what was your mentality coming in, and what was your experience starting to learn some of these tools?
Yeah, so to be honest, I kind of started full-time as an entrepreneur in 2017, pushing Kava, and obviously I needed a technical background to get that off the ground. And, being naive, I thought it was going to be very easy to raise around and get those, that technical support. That didn't happen. So, I found some developers that could help me with that. And then, I wasn't really into design yet. I was mainly just a sales rep business guy. But I've always been passionate about design. So I started kind of diving into design around late 2017, early 2018. So after that first year of entrepreneurship, I was kind of living off just my savings and trying to figure out ways to, keep Kava afloat, but still be able to live. And so as I started getting better with designing and, spreading the word about Kava, people started reaching out to me about, designing their website or their app. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I get to help design some of their products. And, that's something I love doing. I love channeling like that creativity. And then I started realizing, okay, but after I'm done designing these projects, I have to go hand it off to a developer. And I'm in the end losing money. So what I decided to do is I dove into Wix a little, tried to find other website builders. And I'd probably say in early 2018, I just jumped on Twitter one day and saw that no code was trending. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I like dove in there, and all these people were talking about Webflow. And I was like, what the heck is Webflow? I've never heard of Webflow. So I dove into it and I signed up, and I literally probably watched 2 or 3 videos of their CEO Vlad explaining the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was I like dying laughing because this guy's actually hilarious in these videos, but they were short and sweet. You know, I mean, it wasn't 15, 20 minutes. It was just little short snippets, and they were teaching me a lot. So I was like, okay, well, I'm already, you know, being an entrepreneur full time. I'll just dive into Webflow full time, learn as much as I can. And within probably a month, I had another opportunity where I designed a website, and they were like, you know, can you build it as well? And I was like, this is perfect. I can dive into Webflow for the first time, start developing a product. So I ended up getting that first job because of Webflow. And I always tell everyone, if it wasn't for Webflow, I have no clue where I'd be right now, because I don't know, like, just getting that first project allowed me to kind of branch out and get more experience with Webflow, and eventually, you know, build my website for Kava, build my website for my studio. And then, you know, it also allowed me to get ideas and generate ideas of ways and products I could create on my own through the web. And that's kind of where I thought of Pastry, which unfortunately I'm not really running right now. But I did have an idea where it was just, you know, some sort of design feedback platform where a new designer could come up and just subscribe, and, you know, I would give them legit feedback on their designs, you know, from typography to the user interface to the experience. And I built that all on Webflow, and I added, you know, authentication. Users could sign in and sign up. I added people, like users' own member pages. It was pretty complex. And to be honest, I had that up and running in 4 to 5 weeks, where I think if I actually coded it, and it'd probably take a couple months. And, you know, this learning, diving into Webflow and diving into these no-code tools also allowed me to, you know, get that extra business I needed, but also give me time to kind of still learn how to code. I'm more of like a front-end developer, I guess you could say. You know, I'm not someone that can create a full-blown app, but I'm the one that is definitely designing the app and coding those designs and then handing it off to the rest of my team. But again, I think Webflow and what they're doing in this no-code movement, I mean, if it wasn't for this movement, I honestly don't know where I would be, because it helped me stay afloat so I can continue to do what I want to do, which is just build my own brand, build my own business, build my own product.
Love it, man. This is a super powerful story, because like I think that a lot of people who are, you know, actually people like you and me, we're good at sort of being business people. We were under the illusion probably that we couldn't do anything that was tech, right?
Yeah.
And that it would take too long. Mm-hmm. And I think that one thing for me was definitely that same thing of like that realization when I started building on no-code tools, that like, not only is this incredibly quick to learn, mm-hmm. but also it empowers 80 to 90% of my needs and other people's needs who I can service as well. And that was, you know, like Webflow being one of the core sort of modules that we teach as part of our no-code curriculum at We Are No-Code. I think that it's as you said, like it's crazy. It's like 1 month in, and you were able to build this amazing first product and kind of put it out there. But let's rewind a little bit. You touched upon something that I think is really, really important to discuss. It's the fact that a lot of first-time founders, they have an idea, and they walk into it with very different expectation than what entrepreneurship really is. Mm-hmm. And I've been in this, like, I'm 3 companies in, 12 years into the process now. Mm-hmm. You also have a lot of experience in that. What was really your mindset? Because like when I started 12 years ago, you could still raise capital. You could still raise your first $100,000 with a pitch deck, maybe a first little idea. Mm-hmm. And now it's come to the point where, having trained a bunch of startups and helped them raise capital and get into like really big accelerators, my discussions with the investors and the accelerators, it's like, if you don't have 3 to 6 months of revenue or traction, you're not ready yet. And so I think that like there are so many people who unfortunately have to like learn for themselves the hard way. Like people first coming in, I did the same thing. So, and I think like it's good for people like us to admit it, because I think what we're trying to also portray is like, hey, how can we help other people not make these same mistakes? Yeah. And if history speaks for anything, is that it repeats itself.
Oh,
And I think that there's going to continue to be a huge number of people getting into entrepreneurship that believe that I have a great idea, I have to go out and build it. And that's not at all the right approach. So what do you think were some of the key things that led you to think that it would be very easy to raise capital right out of the gate with an idea, or that maybe you absolutely needed a tech co-founder or whatever? Like, what was your mentality at the time? Can you remember?
Yeah. So when I first started, you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at like Twitter, and it's like these big companies and they're in social media. So you have the next social media idea and you're like, oh, this is, VC is definitely going to fund this because what if, right? Like, what if it blows up? And, I quickly found out probably when I first started, the first 6 months, I probably contacted 300 to 500 VCs or early stage investors. And I would probably say that out of that number, 100 maybe responded, and they were all no's. I did get some meetings, but I quickly learned that it was, I needed to have a product and I needed to have a team. And then I went through 2 accelerators as well, and they were pretty much preaching the same thing. So once I heard all that, I realized, okay, well, I need to get this product out in the market. I need to show that people like it. And I think the advice I would give to early stage or early entrepreneurs, it's find a way you can get your idea to the market as quickly as possible, and so that you can test and see if this is even going to be a need. It took me a year to get Kava, off the ground and running into the App Store, and I developed some early traction after we launched, but the retention rate, it wasn't sticky enough. And that's what investors want to see. They want to see that people are addicted to what you're building, and they can build a business around that. So when I was going through this whole process, I kind of messed up by not getting the app into the market as quickly as I could. And that's just something I suggest doing, even if it's a website. I mean, just get it up there. The design doesn't have to look exactly how you want it, but create this almost MVP or minimal viable product where it has your core features, maybe 1 to 3 core features that are going to keep people drawn in to your product, and then build from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think that like one thing that's interesting with no code is like, not only as you go along with building, I think that you kind of like become quicker and quicker to be able to iterate on your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And as an entrepreneur, like I kind of say this all the time, and I'm gonna be repeating myself here, but like it's a career.
Yeah.
So it's like every time you do it, you get better at it. So the quicker that you can make a startup idea either fail or kind of pick up some traction, like the better you're going to be, and the more likely you're going to be to quickly be able to find one of those ideas that really hits the nail on the head. Yep. And that you're willing to then invest 3 years of your life to start building. And I say 3 years, that's like the beginning of it, Yeah. And so like it's like I think that there's just a huge potential here to basically like reduce the time frame. Like you kind of mentioned it, several years for the first one, 1 year for the next one. Then, but in general, like as soon as you had started working with some of these tools, it was like, and understood a bit more about startup methodology. It was like, okay, now it's like 1 month, between idea and execution, and like being able to launch it in the market. And that's the reality, is that like product is not enough. Customers, community is not enough. You have to have both, but you can do both at the same time alone at first. And as soon as you start getting traction around an idea, it's much easier to get people around that momentum, right? 100%. It's much easier to convince people to follow you, because that's what you're doing as a founder, right? It's convincing people to jump on board, sometimes to quit their jobs, other people to invest in your company, so to put their own hard-earned cash, or in the case of VCs, other people's cash to back your startup. And it's much easier to do that once you start building momentum. So what would you say some of the mistakes that you've made along the way that you'd love for other founders not to make? And hey, I'll share some of mine if you want to go down that road.
Okay. Probably one of my biggest mistakes was, like I said earlier, thinking I could raise a round before I had a product. I would definitely go back and get this out sooner. Number 2 would be, when I guess working with people, and I don't want to downplay this, but working with people overseas, technical wise, One, it's just, I'm sure there's a bunch of technical teams overseas, which, are working great with, startups here or whatever. But the one thing that was difficult about doing that was, one, if anything does go wrong, they do have your code, right? And you can't really get that. And then number two, you're in different time zones. So it's hard to get on some sort of schedule or even like build a team. And three, if they love your product and they want to be a part of it, it's still not that appealing to a potential investor if your team is overseas, where if they were here with you, grinding with you, maybe another developer here in Baltimore, where we're constantly interacting with each other and building our chemistry, then it's a different story, right? So I think really finding some sort of, technical person to be on your team early. And if you can do it without a technical person, obviously go down the no code route and do that and find another partner. But I do think it's really hard to do something on your own. And I highly suggest getting someone just to help and be there for you, because there's going to be times like you said, it's just like this until you can get the traction where you continue to grow, and you're going to need someone to just bounce ideas off of, but to vent as well. I mean, it gets rough,
just support in general. I think whether that's through a co-founder, a close mentor, a program, like anything that you can get. And it's not only about the business side. I think there's one thing that people don't talk about is that, and that I emphasize often, is the fact that your own motivation is the biggest thing that's driving this thing forward. So on the days where, you're having low confidence about this product because you've received a couple bad things have happened that day, it's really important to have someone that you can talk to and who understands what you're doing. Often, I'll go through a bad day, I'll speak to my wife about it, and it's great. But the reality is that people who are not entrepreneurs, who haven't gone through this, they don't understand on the same level. They'll understand, they'll be empathetic, and they'll provide you with certain level of support. But I think it's really important to also seek out people who understand the pain and the sacrifice and that it takes to really build things and be continually excited about an idea in the harder times, So that support is, and I think that on the tech front, what you just touched upon, I see kind of three mistakes there. The first one is waiting for a tech co-founder to get started. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
The second one is people hiring full-time developers to develop things for super expensive. Also, usually not the right approach, because you end up building this massive product, and then you reach market, and they will come. No, they never come. They never come. Yep. And then, as you said, and then you're like, oh, this is costing me a lot of money. And the next reaction and this is so funny. Everyone thinks that they're so special, but the reality is that a lot of people are falling in these same things. And I know that from having viewed 400 startup pitches every 6 months, and having to choose 8 to join the accelerator program. So, and I think that the next one is what you mentioned, overseas, because it's cheaper. But oftentimes you receive spaghetti code back, and people make promises that they can't really hold in terms of execution, and then you have to basically give up on the whole thing and just accept that as kind of a loss. And I see that happening over and over and over. It's not just one person. It's happened to me. It's happened to you. That's 2 out of 2. It's happened to my co-founder in the past. It's happened to hundreds of startups that I've seen apply to the accelerator that I used to run. And it's frankly, there are mistakes that we shouldn't have to continue to put founders through.
And on top of that, man, I mean, I'm dealing with it right now with my studio, and don't get me wrong, people are coming to me with these great ideas, and I want to build, this whole idea for you, because one, it's obviously we would get money for that, but I honestly sit these people down and try to tell them let's just narrow the scope to just keep it small. Let's just get it out there quickly so that you can test and we can iterate on top of that. We can build it to scale, but let's just not just go full throttle, because I guarantee you there's going to be features in there that we add that cost a lot of money that people just won't care about. And it just doesn't make sense for your brand. And then with the overseas, people, unfortunately, and no shot at them, but they're going to say yes to anything, They just want jobs. They just want revenue coming in because the U.S. dollar is strong, and that's understandable. But a lot of people that are new to this don't understand that, and they go in blinded and end up getting screwed. And
listen, I think when we talk about overseas, it's not about saying that companies who are building overseas are not good. It's to say that often when people go overseas, it's to get really cheap prices. And when you go for really cheap prices and oversee, you will get what you're paying for. There are excellent studios, there are excellent developers, there are excellent people overseas.
100%.
But to be able to work with the right people, and I would always be a bit wary about sort of, just like you mentioned, going in with an idea, presenting what you want to build, and then being like, okay, cool, we'll build it for you. And not telling you, no, wait a second. You're trying to build a company. No. You need to build a minimum version of this because, as you said, and I see a lot of people doing that here locally as well, where it's like they'll approach an agency who's a development agency and they'll build out the whole thing. And the agency will be delighted because you'll pay the top dollar for the whole build out. And so I would, if someone's trying to build a business and they approach an agency and the agency isn't starting to press the brakes on you and say, hey, wait, there's a lot more work that has to go behind this to understand exactly what it is that these people are looking for. And I don't believe that we should build out the whole thing. Like, if people are telling you that, yes, you should probably trust them. If people are saying, yeah, we'll just build it for you, I would definitely, put the brakes on it. And it's a similar thing with certain marketing agencies sometimes, where it's like, the next big mistake I've seen is like people build out the product, no one comes to it because they haven't really done the hard work, and then they're like, well, all I need is marketing, and then it's like a double or nothing. And that's how I've seen, like, time and time again, people spending from $100 to $1 million sunk into a startup that through marketing and development costs that simply does not have the traction that it should have, and they don't have much to show for it, and that's where I think it's really sad.
And that's kind of why I tell everyone that I work with, honestly, after I hear their idea and everything, I just sit them down and just pretty much explain to them, like, listen, this is why, I have these suggestions, and I'm only suggesting this stuff because obviously I want to see them succeed. Because if they're going to succeed and we develop this app that is doing well in the App Store or website, whatever, it's only going to help us. I don't want to create something that is so massive that it just flops, and I just get, I take their money. Like, that's just not a personal connection. I like having every client I have. It's more of that one-on-one feeling, that friendship, that they can trust me and that my guidance, because I've been through this for 3 to 4 years now. So I can give something that they might not have. And it's just, just making sure we're setting them up to continue to like succeed with their product.
This actually brings out an interesting point, because I feel like nice guys, let's self-proclaim ourselves relatively nice guys in the sense that we are trying to be honest, trying to do, nice guys finish last kind of expression. Definitely it's more profitable to not really tell people the realities that we've lived through as entrepreneurs, as a way to kind of, I'm also of the belief that if you run your business with integrity, in the longer term, you build stronger relationships, which are longer to monetize to the level that you would like to, but eventually it always pays off. And so I've definitely had times in my life where I'm like, am I just being too nice? Should I just take the money and run? And I think that in having not done that, it's really the thing that fundamentally now has brought me to the level that I am, really. Because I could have made a lot more money doing it the less good way, let's put it. What are your thoughts? Have you had those kind of thoughts too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had some projects that are, pretty big size for just our small studio, but I also think about just my team in general, like, just, I don't want to overload them as well, because then we might not create a product that is kind of representing our craftsmanship. So I kind of really just I talk to these clients, just explaining to them, don't think big picture right now, really kind of get focused and look at the scope we have right now and try to think like, hey, here's 3 to 4 ideas or features that are going to keep this, sticky. And the reason why I go down that route is because I need them to understand that this is very hard to do. Like, apps are very hard to get off the ground. There's billions of them in the App Store, and you need to have a special niche where someone wakes up and they open up their phone and they think of your app. You need to figure out some way to get people in there, and these people come with all these ideas, and I don't mean any disrespect by that at all, because I was like that, because you're just like thinking like, how can I make this product amazing, and it's just like really narrowing it down so that you can then add those ideas later as your product grows. And I just want these people to kind of trust my judgment, and if they don't, I don't get mad. I'm more than happy to do whatever they want, but I'm always going to be completely honest with them on how I would handle this. So that's pretty much what I do. And it always comes back. They always refer people to me because I just like being personal with people. I don't, just making them feel trusted and making them feel like I want to be on their team and help them, because that's what I really want to do, because I love creating products and everything like that. So that's I
think the people in general are looking for a magic pill, and believing in the magic pill, unfortunately, is like the beginning of your own demise. The quicker that you can start understanding that everything is going to require very hard work and that there is no magic pill, the less you're going to fall for people who are out there lying to you, selling the magic pill. And I think that a lot of that's probably the reason why a lot of people have a hard time when coming into entrepreneurship at first. I know that basically through my 12 years of experience, there's smarter ways than other ways. Just full stop. I like
that.
And basically, Silicon Valley's been around for 50 years building companies. There is proven methodology around building startups. Yes, every single startup is very different, and there are particularities that you're going to want to consider when that's taking place. But at the same time, there are some overall concepts that young aspiring entrepreneurs have to very quickly get down to. And if not, the market will humble you.
Yes.
Like, you will go out there, you will start building, you might have a big ego, which a lot of entrepreneurs come in with a large ego. And I'm not saying they're mean people. I'm just saying that they have, egos, and they believe that they have answers. Like when you go to nice schools, you're taught that you are the elite. You are taught that you know a lot and that you can do everything. And the reality is that I think that the quicker as an entrepreneur that you're able to humble yourself down, and that often happens through failure, which both me and you have also experienced. Let's not beat around the bush. We've had great successes, we've had great failures. I think that's what really makes great entrepreneurs, is to understand that you have to grow as an entrepreneur. You have to learn a lot of different things, and each time you're going to sort of take action on a new project, you're going to get better at it.
Yep. That's actually one thing I definitely forgot to say. As an entrepreneur, I would highly suggest continuing to increase your skill set just as a human being. Don't just focus on one thing. I came from sales. I thought that, I could sell anything, get this product off the ground, we're all good. But now I can sell, I can design and code, and now I can talk to people and help them build their products through my sales craftsmanship and then design and develop it. So it's like, as you grow and get more skills, you're going to be more valuable, and that can help get your product to where you need it to be, or you could help, in my case, other people build their products. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. So tell me, where can people find you, AJ, if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, man. So they can
LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn's all right. Yeah, AJ Picard. They can reach me. They can go on my studio's website, saucedesigns.io, and get in contact with me there. My Instagram is JJBrown913 if they want to follow me. But that's pretty much it. I'm really active on Twitter, but my Twitter account is pick a card, any card. It's kind of difficult, but it's
that's cool.
Yeah, PIC_ and then a card and then NE card. So it's kind of
and Picard is spelled like Captain Picard, right?
Captain. I always get that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I'm guessing that you're the grandson, right? Of course.
Yeah.
My
dad and I always watched that Star Trek when I was a kid, and then like the new Star Trek came out like a couple months ago, and Picard was trending. I just thought it was funny.
Picard, I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, AJ, thanks so much for sharing your experience here on this little episode. I really appreciate it. And yeah, keep pushing on your craft. It's so exciting. And thanks for inspiring some of the people watching who might have a great idea and want to figure out ways in which they can build, whether that's working with someone or actually doing it themselves. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Christian. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
Yeah, you too.